ভলিউম লো করে দাও, একদম ডাউন করে দাও, আমার গলাটা শোনো। Okay, last day we did spermatogenesis. Today we have to do oogenesis. So this will be the process of gametogenesis. Then we will go to fertilization and other further topics which will come. I'm sharing the today I will go on oogenesis. So what you see over here is a picture of an egg. This is an egg. And on the top here in this region, you can see a sperm. ছোট্ট একটা sperm দেখতে পাচ্ছ এই জায়গায়? पास में बैठो ना, उपयोगটা देखते थे, तुम्हारा लग नहीं रहा है ना, पीछे जाओ उसके पास जाके देखो, তুমি এরকম করে কাজ করে রাখো, তো ভালো করে দেখতে পাবে না। তোমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছ? ঠিক আছে, रुबाब दिखाई दे रहा है सब? हेलो,
यस सर,
ठीक है,
दिख रहा है।
हाँ ठीक है। सो दिस इज द स्पर्म ओवर हियर। ছবিটা দেখানোর জন্য এইভাবে করা হচ্ছে যাতে ইউ ক্যান আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড ইট বেটার, ইট উইল বি ইজিয়ার টু রাইট ইন ইওর এক্সাম। So this is the process of fertilization which is taking place. So oogenesis essentially is the development of ovum, the egg. So it involves one very important step, that is maturation of a follicle. The egg in mammals lies inside a follicle, a covering, which sustains, gives it food and nutrition, and it helps it to develop. So this follicle needs to develop. And what you have to study is the fate of ovum and follicle. Ovum is the egg, egg এর চারদিকে follicle, right? And the follicle needs to develop. And so the ovum also will develop. So oogenesis, the site of oogenesis is in the ovary. So duration, 7th week of embryo. When the girl is in the 7th week. Yes, yes. So when the girl is in the 7th week in the mother's womb, in the 7th week in the mother's womb, what happens? Then there are primordial germ cells are produced in the embryo. I am now talking about what's happening in the baby. What is happening in the baby which is in the mother's womb? Inside that baby, the primordial germ cells, they go in the cell, they start forming in the 7th week of the embryo. So, and 3rd month of the fetus, the oogonium is formed. After the embryo, it comes to the fetus. It's still in the mother's womb. So you have the oogonium. Oogonium is the egg mother cell. Like you had the spermatogonium, sperm mother cell. Here you have oogonium, egg mother cell. And there are approximately 2 million oocytes which are formed. there are 2 million primary oocytes from the oogonium which is formed in the 7th month. And then it freezes. The meiosis division never goes ahead. It's freezing over there. ওইখানেই আটকে যায়। Cell division করছে হয়ে যায়। So at birth, primary oocyte with the prophase of the first meiotic division. একদম সবাইকার ওভারির মধ্যে, হ্যাঁ, all frozen in the first prophase of the first meiotic division. It is frozen. Only when the sperm comes, then it starts to finish the cycle. So all what you see in the all the number of eggs which you have, it is all you have acquired it when you were an embryo. You don't get any new eggs. Like sperm is constantly being formed, eggs जो बचपन में हुआ था वही रहा. And every around they say 20, but around 100 of them are destroyed every month. So by the time 45 or 50, you go run low on reserves. And menopause starts to take place. So 40,000 primary oocyte in adult ovary. ঠিক আছে? 500 primary oocytes attain maturity. Out of them, every 500, they
सर म्यूट हो गया।
हाँ म्यूट हो गया, अब ठीक है?
हाँ ठीक है।
अभी म्यूट हुआ था बहुत देर पहले?
नहीं, अभी जस्ट हुआ था।
जस्ट हुआ था, ओके। Okay, now you have the development of the ovum. Let us talk. The oogonium in the fetal ovary, মানে in the embryo, পেটের মধ্যে যখন আছে বাচ্চাটা, হ্যাঁ, so you have got 46 chromosomes. It is diploid 2n. This is the, then it gets converted into the primary oocyte. It also has got, come, join up first. It has got the primary oocyte 46 2n, ঠিক আছে? And this it is arrested in the prophase 1 of first meiotic division. ওভারির মধ্যে এই নিয়েই ওরা বেরিয়েছে পৃথিবীতে, আর নেই, there is no more. Then after after the menarche takes place, when the first period starts, when they mature something to 11 years 12 years age, then maturation starts to take place. The secondary oocyte starts to
म्यूट हो गया फिर से।
ओके, एक देखता हूँ कहाँ से म्यूट हो रहा है, बता देना म्यूट होने से, ठीक है?
ठीक है सर।
ओके, हाँ अभी भी फिर से म्यूट हो गया है। अभी म्यूट है?
अनम्यूट है। अब आवाज आ रहा है।
अभी आ रहा है था? ओके, अभी आ रहा है?
यस सर।
म्यूट नहीं हो रहा है, म्यूट, व्हाई इज इट म्यूटिंग बिफोर? Okay, anyway, let's continue. So the secondary oocyte and 22X polar body is formed. Then after fertilization, you see polar body, the first secondary oocyte, and instead in the sperm, what happens spermatogenesis, you have two secondary spermatocytes. But here you have one secondary spermatocyte and first polar body is formed. And then again two more polar bodies are formed. And this also divides and forms the mature ovum during ovulation, whether fertilization takes place or not. Clear? नहीं अभी म्यूट नहीं हुआ. Okay, the same thing, oogonium 2N mitosis. It is arrested at 2N stage, prophase 1. Meiosis continues, polar body. Here it is divided, haploid ho gaya, 1N, 1N. The secondary oocyte is haploid. This is the place where you people have to remember. यहाँ पे concept है. Then you have meiosis, fertilization takes place. Again, 2N ho gaya, this polar body is still haploid because कोई sperm nucleus is not contributed. So during ovulation, this particular fertilization is taking place. So in fact, this when the polar body is attached to it, you can see the sperm also attached to two polar bodies, three polar bodies attached under microscope. তোমরা আমার কি মিউট হয়ে গেছে ওখানে দেখো হয়নি তো ঠিক আছে
না স্যার
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে ওকে so this is the same thing first meiotic division how it looks the same thing. So now we talk about maturation of the follicle. So primordial. So we are talking about the primordial follicle. Somebody is muting me or what? Let me check. Settings में देख रहा हूँ. Just one second. Oh, এটাতে. Just one second. Hold on. इसको ठीक कर. Call control. अभी तो म्यूट नहीं है ना?
नहीं सर.
Okay.
नो सर
Okay. So this is the primordial follicle. So one side you have the egg. On the egg you have the follicle. The two sides are अंदर में हो रहे हैं. It's happening inside. Outside you have the follicle. Now we are talking about follicle, primordial follicle. So inside the primordial follicle is the primary oocyte. Then pre-antral phase. Granulosa cells they develop. The follicles starts to get better. Then from primordial follicle it forms the primary follicle. Zona pellucida is formed, granulosa cells are formed, then the secondary follicle is formed, and this little space which you are seeing over here, this is known as the antrum. Space दिख रहा है? This is the antrum which is formed over here. Okay. Now there is an LH surge. Luteinizing hormone is surge. Brain से होता है. It goes, and when that surge takes place, ovulation takes place. Ovulation is taking place. So the next ये same चीज है, ovulation. What I need to show is, if you look at this, outside you of this egg, this is the oocyte. अंदर में oocyte. ठीक है, follicle दिख रहा है. Inside there is the oocyte. Outside there is a zona pellucida layer. Then you have lots of discus progellarius. All these are follicular cells. Membrana granulosa, they are formed. And in the end, there is an ovulation takes place. The primordial follicle develops, antrum is there, and gradually you see that this ovulation is taking place. ये follicle फट जाता है, अंडा निकल जाता है, it enters into the your fallopian tubes. When it takes place, or the sperm must be present before that. The egg is alive for 1 or 2 days. उसके अंदर अगर sperm मिल गया तो होगा, नहीं तो नहीं होगा. So this is the structure of the ovum. बाहर में these you can see these little cells. Zona pellucida. It's known as corona radiata. ये दिख रहा है cells बाहर में. This is the corona radiata. Can you see the corona radiata? बाहर में. Like the sun से जैसे निकलता है corona. It's like that. It's known. It's the corona radiata. And you have the, this is the structure. Inside you have the zona pellucida, then the egg is totally inside. यहाँ पे it's all labeled over here, same thing. Fate of the ovarian follicle. Let us look. This is the last slide basically. So you have a primary oocyte within follicle. It is developing, growing follicle. देखो, 1, 2 growing follicle, 3rd matured follicle, antrum is formed. Then LH surge takes place, and the egg is released outside. And then this follicle, it turns into corpus luteum. This corpus luteum, this actually secretes progesterone when it maintains the pregnancy. The uterine wall, it becomes thicker at that time. And after that, अगर कुछ नहीं हुआ, then the period starts again. And this degenerates into corpus albicans. But when you are pregnant, this corpus luteum stays, because progesterone is extremely needed during pregnancy to maintain pregnancy. If you could, we had this horrible operation experiments in rats, which I did not like. We had to do a process. You have to keep the rat alive. You have to do either orchidectomy, that is removal of testes, or ovarectomy, hysterectomy, the removal of ovaries. So this actually we had to do it with rats. We had to grow the rats, feed them, and then one day you are cutting open the rats, removing their ovaries, against stitching them up, and after 2 weeks you are feeding them, growing them, then you kill them and see what happens to the effect. Once we had got pregnant rats, we did operations. There were small fetuses we could see. And I told the teacher, sir, ये सब तो pregnant है, sir. Let us not do the practical. नहीं, आज ही करना है. We have to do it. I don't know what type of person he was. Anyway, so we had to do that particular experiment. Out there. Next day, all the fetuses were aborted outside, undeveloped. उसी को खिला पिला रहा है. Undeveloped fetuses. They came out to die. Because pregnancy was not maintained, because we learned it. Terrible. This person, I'm glad he's dead now. बहुत कमीना आदमी था. मतलब हम लोग का नुकसान नहीं किया, लेकिन ऐसे करके नुकसान तो किया है. आज भी I've got this bad feeling in my head. Today also I feel guilty. फिर एक वीक उसको तुमको खिलाना पिलाना पड़ेगा. खाइए दाइए एवरीडे. इंफेक्शन को जगह पे यू आर वाइपिंग डेटॉल एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स. बिकम्स लाइक योर पेट. फिर उसको ही मारना पड़ेगा. Just you are given a rat, killed a rat, and killed rat and everything, that is कुछ अलग है. लेकिन you are taking care of that rat for something and then you are made to kill that rat. Terrible. So normally animal house maintenance is done by somebody else. ये सब चीज, these were very insensitive teachers. So this is it. Questions? No questions. एक सेकेंड, तुम लोग मत जाओ. तुम लोग का अटेंडेंस मैं देख लेता हूँ. तुम लोग मत जाओ ना, मैं अटेंडेंस ले रहा हूँ. यहाँ पे वैसे अटेंडेंस आ गया, लेकिन दैट इज नॉट रिफ्लेक्टिव. फिर कल भी है ना क्लास? टुमारो आल्सो रूटीन में सेम तरीके से लेंगे. फर्टिलाइजेशन 5723. अमृता प्रसाद प्रेजेंट. হ্যাঁ, তাই জন্য ওদের যেতে বারণ করলাম. 32. অঞ্জিষ্ণু মুখার্জি দেখলাম. হ্যাঁ, অঞ্জিষ্ণু ছেড়ে চলে গেছে 12 মিনিটে. অনিকেত দা. অনিকেত, আচ্ছা এসছে. অনিকেত লাস্ট কবে এসেছে? পরে আগের কথায় যেতে হচ্ছে. 29 30 ওটা খারাপ না.
প্রেজেন্ট স্যার.
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে. অঙ্কন ভৌমিক.
ইয়েস স্যার.
হ্যাঁ. ফিফটি সিক্স 57. অতুল কুমার 60. বাশরা রহমান absent. চন্দ্রিমা ভৌমিক দেবরাজ মন্ডল.
প্রেজেন্ট স্যার.
হ্যাঁ এসছে এসছে. ঈশানী রয়.
प्रेजेंट सर.
25.
আরে আমাদের ক্লাস হবে আমাদের. তুই বলবি
জিয়া সেন. জিয়া সেন এসছে না? জিয়া সেন অ্যাবসেন্ট. জ্যোতির্ময় এসছে. তা জ্যোতির্ময় বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়
প্রেজেন্ট স্যার.
काजी नासिर रहमान एसছে ना?
हम लोग अटेंडेंस के लिए खड़े हैं. ज्वाइन हुई अब?
এখন আর বেশি কি হয়ে গেছে? বাই বাই, টু আর্লি ফর দ্য নেক্সট ক্লাস।
স্যার লিভ করে
দাঁড়াও
যাবো?
দাঁড়াও,
सर
অ্যাটেন্ডেন্সটা নিই।
सर विजय
মানব আসেনি তো?
স্যার
মানব
আমি
নেই।
सर विजय कुमार
মোনালিসা, আরে বিজয় কুমার ঠিক আছে।
रोमन दास
মোনালিসা অ্যাবসেন্ট,
মঞ্জুস মুখ।
অ্যাবসেন্ট, নিশা কুমার
স্যার
প্রেজেন্ট, রিমা মন্ডল অ্যাবসেন্ট, রুকাইয়া খাতুন,
এখনো যে পারবি কত দূর
33, रुबाब 45 हो गया। सना परवीन,
प्रेजेंट सर।
हाँ
कपाल क्यों
39, श्रीता मुखोपाध्याय absent, शिवनाथ भद्र absent, श्रेयसी अधिकारी शेख सोहेल आतार, सोमा घोष प्रेजेंट 10, 16, 17, सौमेन दास,
यस सर
हाँ, सौरकार विश्वास, हाँ, अनेक दिन बादे सुदीप्ता माझी, तानिया भट्टाचार्य एसছে, तानिया
प्रेजेंट सर।
हाँ, विजय कुमार प्रेजेंट,
यस सर
हाँ, फरहान इकबाल वो अब हो गया उसका, कैनात परवीन ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच। रिकॉर्डिंग भेज दूंगा, यू आर वेलकम।